It's a great day. My name is Che Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur, and welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show, the #1 business development and revenue focused late night show in the country where we are on a mission. And our mission really is to empower. Our mission is to inspire. And our mission is to provide you, the entrepreneur, with all of the resources that are necessary to execute that big vision you have for the people you were called to serve. In this episode, we have the one and only DB Bedford. Yes, he's in the building. He'll be talking about using emotional intelligence to make more impact and income. What's going on, DB? How are you, my friend?
What's up, good brother? I'm doing fantastic, man. How about yourself?
Good, man. I'm certainly glad to be here. And, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer starting off, but I like to at least define emotional intelligence. So, my first question, I know people are like, oh, Shay, how does it make me make money? But I want to slow down and then we'll speed up, which is from DB's perspective, what is emotional intelligence? Because it has so many spider webs, it seems, to it. And then how does it really help entrepreneurs and people who run organizations? I know it's a loaded question, but he can handle it, ladies and gentlemen.
Absolutely. I mean, to simplify it, emotional intelligence is having the skill to not letting your emotions overpower your intelligence. In other words, not letting how you feel about something dictate how you behave about the thing that made you feel a certain kind of way. It helps entrepreneurs and people in general, because if we're honest, most of our decisions or lapse in judgment in life come from simply being in our feelings. And it's okay to have a feeling about something. That's why it's called emotional intelligence. You're going to have the feeling, but the intelligence comes in is having what I like to call emotional discernment, being able to know when to engage, when not to engage, what to say, what not to say, even though you feel like saying the thing.
I love it, man. And for those folks that are like Shay Brown, I went to DC public schools, by the way. They're like discernment. That's like 4 syllables, right? And they're probably saying, okay, Shay, I'm following the emotional part. I got to keep myself in check. Talk a little bit about discernment. Did I get that right? Discernment. Yes, 4 syllables, exactly. Is that something that's a learned skill for those folks that are hearing it for the first time? Is that a skill they have to work on? Is that a skill that can be acquired? So just take a moment, because it seems like that's a key component to the emotional intelligence. Not enough just to know about it, but you've got to be able to have this, discernment. Yeah, explain that for us if you can.
That's an excellent question. Thanks for the follow-up. I think it's, being able to be insightful enough, have enough wisdom to recognize that just because you can doesn't mean you should, right? Just knowing that there are going to be these micro moments in life where you're going to have these engagements that are going to challenge you to make a decision. And when you're emotionally charged, having discernment is just having that enough insight to know that even though you really want to do this thing or react in this particular way or engage or respond in this manner, you have enough insight, information, or intelligence to know that it's not a good idea to do it, even though you want to do it.
And we'll get into the moment your backstory. I know people are probably curious, who is this person? They might be reading your bio. Maybe they've seen you online. Maybe they're just meeting you for the first time. But before we get into a little bit of your backstory, if you can, for the person who's watching, we have a number of folks who they're dualpreneurs, man. They work a full-time job. They're like, I got it. I'm wired, Shay. I made it to this level of whatever level they are in the government, whatever level they are in their organization, corporate America, the C-suite, whatever it is, they have responsibility for organizations of people under them. And I guess the question would become, how does this also help folks who can do it themselves, but do you work with them to be able to transfer that emotional intelligence over to their team and organizations that are underneath them? And again, it's a big question, but if you could answer that, that'd be pretty cool. Because some of you out there like, I got this, I'm good, but I'm trying to lead these other folks.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, if you're a supervisor, a manager, or a leader of a team, then you will probably agree that whenever you have a group of individuals together for an extended period of time, it's only a matter of time before conflict arises. It's only a matter of time before performance drops. It's only a matter of time before there's a disagreement within amongst the team that has not been handled or is not being handled. And so when you're leading a team, you want the adults that you're leading to be able to recalibrate themselves when they come across three important points in during the workday. And that's when they come across something they don't like, or they're working with somebody they don't like, they come across something they don't understand, or that they don't agree with, which is bound to happen in any environment. And a lot of times, people are challenged to move forward and perform at a higher level when they have an internal conflict about something they disagree with. And so when you're leading your team and you are exposing them to this emotional intelligence skill and giving them an opportunity to process those things, they can get back to producing or performing at the high level of why you hired them in the first place.
I love it. Now the backstory. I mean, how did you? What's the backstory? Number one, it's two-part question. Who is DB? That would be pretty cool to answer at this point. And then, what's the backstory that led you to making this? Really, I believe it's gonna be your legacy. I mean, I never worry, ladies and gentlemen. Don't worry, I got that written down because that just really resonates with me. But I believe your legacy will be this emotional intelligence piece as well. Probably two parts. So I guess the question for those people who are listening is, who is this guy who's talking now? What's his backstory that led him to doing what he's doing now?
I appreciate that. So my name is DB Bedford from Oakland, California, and what led me down this path, I was working for the Alameda County Probation Department, and I had been working there for about 17 years. At the time I heard about emotional intelligence, I was the compliance and standards supervisor, and there was a new regulation that was being rolled out, and the guy that was training us had just dropped a little nugget and said, "Listen, on this particular regulation, you guys are going to need a little bit of emotional intelligence," because he knew it was going to rub people the wrong way because it required them to make a change. As soon as I heard the terminology, I became fascinated with it because I had never heard it before. It made sense. It sounded fresh. I was like, I need to know more. The more and more I looked into it, I seen that it had a history, but I recognized that culturally, nobody was talking about it. In the Black and Brown community, there was no mentioning of emotional intelligence. And I know culturally that we can become emotional beings really quick. Then I started reflecting on myself, and I realized that, well, all of my lapse in judgment and poor decision making came from me being in my feelings, including a very pivotal point in my life where I lost my temper and almost ruined my life and the life of someone else's because I let my emotions overpower my intelligence. So, with that collective thought, feel like, EI chose me. I didn't chose it. It just seemed like I was supposed to double down and be the ambassador of getting this message out. So I did all the studying, all the crafting, doubled down on my gift. And then 8 years ago, I took early retirement from the probation department and decided I'll become a full-time entrepreneur, coming out here, leaving a legacy of people being aware that this exists so that they can make better decisions, so they can maintain a better quality of life.
I love it, man. When you start talking about it, you can hear the passion for those folks that get a chance to connect with him on social media. He has a high passion for this, by the way. I'm curious, what do you enjoy most about what you're doing now?
It's a good question. What I enjoy the most, Shay, is that when someone reaches out to me and they say to me, "Man, I was about to do this, and then I thought about something you said, so I did that." And the relief that they have, or the proud moment that they have because they know they made a better decision because we had a conversation or because my body of work resonated with them, is what I enjoy the most. I feel like I'm shifting mindsets, I'm shifting culture. I think the world would be a better place if people stood on principles such as being responsible for how you behave, no matter how you're feeling.
Love it, man. I love that. That says a lot. And, it leads us to a very important segment that we have here at the Happy Entrepreneur Show. And the segment is called Today is My January 1st. Now, for those folks who tune in every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you already know what we're about to do. Maybe you wait to say those words. You can go ahead and say those words. Today is my January 1st. Isn't that kind of cool? And for those folks that are watching for the very first time, today is our January 1st, is our personal mantra here at the Happy Entrepreneur Show. It represents a fresh start. It represents a do-over. It means our past, no matter how dark and gloomy that past is or how bright and sunny that past is back there, the past really no longer equals the future. And so my question to you as you're listening or you're watching, or for you, DB, is really a two-part question. Number one, when you hear those words, today is my January 1st, what do you hear? What do you hear? And then what was one of your January 1st moments? Where was the time it was a setback that you had to bounce back in your life, man?
Yeah, when I hear January 1st, today is my January 1st, it just feels like it's a new day and the possibilities are endless. Um, I have those moments. I feel like every day may be my January 1st because once I wake up and I realize I'm on a wake up list, it's just a new opportunity for me uh, to be and not do. So many folks, I think they get up every day and they are in human doing mode and they slip away from human being mode. So I'm very intentional about the being. And when you're in being mode, you can really appreciate what your gift to this world is. I think you asked me about, you mentioned setbacks, from an entrepreneurial state, my setback that I had before is that, and it's interesting, is because I got a little too comfortable in my business, and I don't know, how that might come off to some, but when I started this training and development agency, uh, it was really easy for me because the problem that I identified was something that people needed solutions for, and to this day, the demand is even higher. But I had got so comfortable that I was not intentionally looking for new clients. And so what I didn't factor in is that there will be moments where even your core clients would take a pause or they would be distracted by something else. And so I would find myself with these big gaps of not bringing in revenue, but still spending. And so that set me back because I didn't prepare. I got so, you know, I was such a happy entrepreneur that I wasn't actively searching for new business. And so I've learned from that lesson. And so I know realize now that even when is the go, even when things are good and in flow, that's actually when I think that you double down and do more, not do less.
I love it. Do more, not do less. One of the questions I love to ask, and I'm glad that you're here, by the way, is you've had a lot of mentors, I'm sure, on this journey of life. You've probably read so many books. I don't know how many books you read. I don't know how many videos you watch. I lost count, by the way. It's got to be tens of thousands, if not 100,000 hours. I'll see videos. Include social media. It's not even fair anymore. But my question to you is, what's one of the best lessons that you've ever learned from one of your mentors that you like to pass on to the audience? And I always share with the audience that you've had so many, so it's kind of hard to go pluck out one. But if you had to grab one right now, I'm going to ask you to come back with the 10 Commandments off the mountaintop. But that you would share with us that can help make us and our life better. What's something that you've learned you want to share with the audience, man?
All right. I hit it from two different perspectives. So one book that during this journey that unlocked my mind was The Code of the Extraordinary Mind. The
Mm-hmm.
Code of Extraordinary Mind was a really good book. As I began this journey, it really opened my mind to the possibilities. And then I'll reach for a mentor who's someone who I met at one of my emotional intelligence seminars. He showed up because he wanted to attend, but he came with so much value. He came as a student, but he was so rich in value. And one of the things that he helped me with is what he calls belief theory. And I think the most important thing I've ever learned is identifying my limited beliefs, those beliefs that have you viewing yourself in the world at a level that you think that that is the either that's the way it should be or it's the only way it is. And I didn't even realize it was a thing. So in combination of the book, The Code of Extraordinary Mind. I can't pronounce the gentleman's name. I think he is the founder of Mind Valley. And then a brother named Steve Bacon, who founded Belief Theory, talking about limited beliefs. And once I started understanding that and understanding I could take an old belief and replace it with a new belief so I could propel forward, it was a game changer.
I love it, man. I love it. Steve's a great guy. You know, as
Mhm.
you were speaking, Steve Bacon, that is, as you was talking as well, I wanted to cover something that it just, when I heard it, I mean, I love emotional intelligence. You know, I love that. I mean, that's the jam. But I love the theory, I never worry, right?
Yeah,
Didn't say I wasn't fearful. Didn't say you don't get concerned. Didn't say you don't have some down days or some days you don't. But you have this whole concept, and I'm curious what the backstory of it is. Ladies and gentlemen, maybe he'll tie it into emotional intelligence because I don't know. I never had a chance to really ask him this question. But
yeah.
I'm curious. I never worry. Tell us the backstory, how that has become. I believe the mantra. I mean, that's a mantra. I can grab one emotional intelligence because I got to make income and impact. But that part, I never worry, allows me to be at rest. So when I'm a better version of Shay Brown, then I'm a better version of what I can do for others. Does that make sense? So my question for those folks that are hearing it, you may have never heard of ineverworry.com. You might even know about it. So tell them, what is it, and why it's so near and dear to you, so we understand the backstory.
For sure. So I mentioned earlier that I grew up in Oakland, California, and during my early years, I grew up in the streets. And when you're in the streets and you're hustling, at the time that I started, we never really wanted to be there. Like we were taught to use the street, the hustle of selling drugs as a stepping stone to be able to get in and get out. And so we were always looking for a way out. And so I Never Worry was birthed as a T-shirt concept because I had ran into a guy out there hustling who was selling his own variation of T-shirts. And what I noticed is that when he would pull up to the block, or the block is the street corner you hang out on where you're selling your drugs, we would all bum rush his car, and everybody would buy shirts, 2, 3 shirts, and then he would drive off. And one day I seen him driving off, and it just dawned on me that he was essentially doing the same thing we were doing, except for he wasn't taking the penitentiary chances. He was basically buying a product at one point and selling it at a higher point. And so that birthed the idea that I could create a t-shirt brand. The name I Never Worry came from, I'm still a very avid Tupac fan. And back then, Tupac would always talk about, no matter what he was doing, he would be like, never worry, be stress free. And it always resonated with me because he wasn't painting it as this warm and fuzzy lifestyle. He was saying, as you're going through stuff, like not to worry. And then my grandmother was very much a woman who did not worry about things. And she taught me that it made absolutely no sense to worry about something that has already happened. So, with that in mind, I put the concept never worry on a t shirt back in 1995. And as I started to evolve as a person, I changed it to I never worry so that it would be more about the person who was wearing the shirt. The brand grew, grew, grew. And then as I started getting into personal development and coaching and training and learning and development, I created, I turned I Never Worry into a consulting company. And so I Never Worry has been basically trailing along my growth and development since 1995. And just most recently, I just rebranded to EI 365, is what you see behind me. And that is just a marketing business move because, like you said, I Never Worry doesn't necessarily spell out emotional intelligence. I can connect the dot by saying if you don't worry, you'll be able to practice emotional intelligence. But the brand now known as EI 365 is a representation that we should practice emotional intelligence all day, every day. but never worry is the birth child. It's how this thing has got started, and it'll always be the parent company of everything that I'm doing.
I love it. I love it. I mean, I love EI 365, and we're going to talk about for the person that's an entrepreneur. Many of you are right now. I'm going to ask them, well, ask them, I guess, indirectly now, to give you maybe three things or three ways that you can use emotional intelligence as an entrepreneur. Like right now. I mean, I want you to connect with them. We're going to get to that in the end and all that. But you might be wondering, man, how's it going to help me today? I'm not going to worry. But then maybe emotionally, you're like, well, you don't understand, Jay. Like he said, I got to get the new contract, or I'm going after another contract, or you're launching a new product, or whatever it is you're doing. So the question I'm going to ask in a minute is, as an entrepreneur, what are three ways or three things you can do to use or get better at emotional intelligence in your business so you can have the impact that you want and the income will follow the impact. So don't chase the money. You're going to add value, and the money will chase you. So that's the question. You heard the question. Now, how can you put all this in the bow, man, for the entrepreneur that's sitting there right now? You're in their ears. They're watching. They're driving. They might be in the gym like, yeah, this is what I've been waiting for, Shay. Well, I just asked them the question.
There you go. One is in your communication, right? Communication is currency. So, right before we got on, I had some pretty tough emails I needed to send out about some things that are not flowing. Emotional intelligence plays a part because what I really want to say is not the wise thing to say. Emotional intelligence gives me an opportunity to take, we like to call a purposeful pause, right? And sit with the content before I release it. If you're emotional about it, the first thing that comes off into the email, you push send. One of the emails I sent today, I've been sitting on it since Thursday, right? Even though I want to send it Thursday as soon as I got some information. So emotional intelligence helps you communicate better. I remember where there was a contract situation where people were being delayed and negligent on the contract in terms of paying me, rebooking me, and doing things that I consider was a waste of my time. I wanted to respond. There's things I wanted to say. I chose not to. The situation ended up working itself out, and I ended up getting more business. Why, you maybe say, why is that important? Because I didn't express that strong feeling that I had to that person, which would have ultimately made them feel a certain kind of way about me, which means that they may not have brought the next opportunity to me, even though the thing I had a feeling about, I probably was right. And folks struggle with that because their ego gets in the way and they feel like you just have to let person know, or you're not going to let people get away with this and that. But you got to be smart. We're playing chess, not checkers. And so as an entrepreneur, I have been able to maintain business and get more business by not being in my feelings. Another part of it could be your emotional relationship with money. And what you do as you are generating money will have a lot to do with how you feel and your relationship with it, which most people don't take into consideration. And so, especially as an entrepreneur, we get excited. We see new conferences and new pieces of software. I mean, all these new books, and you end up buying, 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 and you end up reading, 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 but you're doing no study, right? Because you're buying everything on emotion, but you're not thinking things through. So that's another way emotional intelligence can play a part in it. Your communication, how you spend your money, and then most importantly, the relationship of your team or your vendors, people that you are constantly having to build relationships with. People view the world from different perspectives, and you got to be careful of what we like to call your emotional biases. One in particular is projection bias. Being mindful of just because people don't do things the way that you would do it, or handle things the way that you would handle it. You want to be mindful not to project out on your expectations to them, which would make them reject it, which could cause inner conflict. And then your team does not flow with you the way that you want them to, because you missed that small little thing because you wasn't aware that it was a thing in the first place. I think those are three elements as an entrepreneur that can help you if you understand emotional intelligence.
not only understand it, but also have the impact that they want to have for the people that they were called to serve. And at the end of the day, you've got to be able to communicate, man. I love how you started that. I love how you wrapped it in the bro. If you haven't followed this guy, and I don't say this often, you've got to, because he's pretty consistent at what he's talking about in the messaging, and it'll be a way for you to stay in the conversation. And that leads to come down the home stretch. A two-part question. Number one, what type of clients is your firm looking to take on? You said business has been good, but you're also open to more business. So what type of clients are you looking for? And number two, how can folks best connect with you? How can they stay in this conversation over and beyond the time that you and I have now?
Appreciate that. And so the clients that we're looking for, the sector of business, we're open to all sectors of business, but the ideal person, if you are a supervisor or a manager or a leader of a team, and you're looking for team building activities around emotional intelligence to strengthen the communication and relationships in your team, and of course, if you're having any problems and conflict and things of that nature, like we're looking for to come in and introduce your team to the EI 365 masterclass, is which we specialize in a half-day masterclass to set the fundamentals of emotional intelligence within your team. And then we have a part two, which is advanced level. And then we also have ongoing coaching. We send your team 365 daily voice notes after they take the masterclass, so that every day they get a micro lesson on emotional intelligence, so it stays top of mind. And the other client is, when we talk about impact, is other people who would like to be what we call EI performance coaches. If you're someone who have a voice, if you think you're good at facilitating and training or speaking, and you want a strong subject matter that most people, if not all, understand the value of, then we're looking to certify those who want to become EI performance coaches as well. And I could be found on all platforms under DB, the EI guy, or you can put in EI 365 in any Google search, or DB, the EI guy, in any Google search, and all of my information will come up.
Man, I love it, man. I love what you're doing. Thanks for making a difference. Thanks for being on the show, man. I can't wait to see you again in person.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for the invite. And like I told you earlier, man, we really appreciate you for creating spaces so we can have more and more happy entrepreneurs.
Thank you so much. And thank you to viewers. Thank you for tuning in, by the way. Without you, well, we don't have a show, by the way. So thank you for tuning in. We like it when you hit the like button. That's kind of cool. But hit the share button. Like, pay this message forward to someone else, by the way. And I never get tired of reminding you every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time that no matter what you're going through, whether things are really, really well or you're kind of bouncing back right now, that I believe that today is your January 1st. And because of just that one reason alone, you can hold the belief that your best is still yet to come. Your best is yet to come. Your best is yet to come. With that being said, my name ain't changed. It's still Che Brown, the happy entrepreneur. Make it a great day, everyone. And we'll make some good things out. We connect again next time. God bless DB. See you later, guy. Peace.